French resistance fighter Marc Bloch is the first historian to be commemorated at Paris's Panthéon.
Cette exposition s'appelle L'esprit de l'histoire. Marc Bloch.
Marc Bloch was a distinguished scholar who fought in both world wars. Matisse, his great-grandson, has loaned several family documents to the exhibition.
Marc Bloch was someone who, throughout his life, always sought to be useful, first as a historian, and especially by enlisting in both wars, and through his commitment to the resistance. In 1939, he was not required to return to the front, but Marc Bloch was someone who needed to be useful, who needed to be a man of action.
At 56 years old, he decided to take up arms when the Germans invaded France. In 1943, he moved to Lyon, the capital of the resistance, and joined the Francs-Tireurs movement.
He rented an office in a couture house with a pseudonym. Here he reorganized the local resistance, particularly for the Francs-Tireurs network. Just a few meters away were the offices of the Milice and the Action Française anti-resistance movements. He was here in the heart of Lyon, exposed yet hidden.
During their occupation of the city, the Nazis hunted Jews and French resistance fighters, making Marc Bloch a target. On March 8, 1944, he was arrested and transferred to the Montluc prison. For 3 months, he endured torture and interrogations. Until June 16, 1944, when he was executed alongside 29 comrades.
They were taken from the Montluc prison, driven along the Saône, and brought to this execution site. We know they were handcuffed in pairs, ordered to step down from the truck, and shot in the back as they got out. He would die just days after the D-Day landings. He knew the tide was turning, and his life was sacrificed just as a long-awaited victory was approaching. Unfortunately, he would not live to see France liberated.
Bloch's spirit of sacrifice was rooted in his upbringing and education. A brilliant student, he entered the École Normale Supérieure in 1904 and became a history professor, like his father, Gustave.
La famille de Marc Bloch vient d'Alsace.
Marc Bloch's family was from Alsace and had been there for several generations. They were of Jewish origins, but they strongly affirmed their French citizenship. Bloch's great-grandfather was a soldier right after the French Revolution, and his father Gustave chose to remain French even if it meant leaving Alsace.
In turn, Marc Bloch distinguished himself as an officer during World War I. He moved to Alsace in 1919 when France reclaimed its lost territories. At the University of Strasbourg, he taught medieval history and founded the Annales with Lucien Febvre, an academic journal that opened history to the social and economic sciences.
Le premier public de cette revue, c'est un public.
The primary audience for this academic journal wasn't necessarily scholars, but decision-makers and experts. Reformist experts who wanted to free Europe from its nationalist constraints and invent a new world. One that the 1929 crisis would ultimately shatter.
The Annales revolutionized historiography and made its authors famous. In 1936, Marc Bloch was appointed as a professor at the Sorbonne University. But 3 years later, World War II broke out. Despite being a father of 6, Bloch volunteered to fight.
Il se trouve que Marc Bloch est un combattant.
Marc Bloch was a fighter. He enjoyed going to battle on the front between 1914 and 1918. He said so himself. He loved the heat of battle and handling weapons. He remained a reservist after 1920, which is why he was so deeply disappointed by the French Chief of the Defense Staff in 1940. In
1940, he wrote Strange Defeat, in which he bore witness to France's collapse in the face of German modernity. And 3 years before his sacrifice, he also wrote a spiritual testament, expressing his devotion to France.
As a stranger to any denominational formalities or so-called racial solidarity, I have felt throughout my life, first and foremost, simply French. I have never sensed that my being Jewish hindered these feelings of mine in any way. It has not been my fate to die for France during either of the two wars. At least, I can in all sincerity offer this testimony in return. I am dying as I lived, an honourable Frenchman.